My name is Rebecca Peterson, and I am going to be telling you a little bit about how language shapes us. There is no such thing as a single, exclusive, and unchanging ethnic or cultural identity. Rather, identity is multidimensional and varies from person to person. A large part of culture is perception. Perception is a process of a living organism that enables it to problem solve in a given environment and adjust to the advantages and disadvantages of a situation. In other words, it is a way of interpreting something, and it references past knowledge and future predictions. For example, if I was to have never heard of or experienced racism, I wouldn't see it because my brain doesn't have the prior knowledge of it. However, if I knew that it existed, the opposite would be true. I would see it everywhere. Now, perception changes what we do and don't acknowledge and adjust to our experiences. A part of what molds the way we view things is language. What do you see? Well, you see the word tree. It holds a meaning, but it doesn't look like the meaning. Rather, it symbolizes the object tree. This generally is what language is. Language is a system of symbols that hold a value or meaning and allow people to communicate those symbols to each other to express thoughts or ideas. The effect language holds on perception is what we call linguistic relativity. In this concept, language not only expresses ideas, it also shapes them and determines how we perceive the world around us. Another term to describe this is the Sapir-Whorf theory. Let's look at the history of this theory. Linguistic relativity was created in the late 18th and 19th century and made its way into the works of Johann Georg Hamann and Johann Gottfried Herder. The theory became prominent in the works of Edward Sapir, an American anthropological linguist, and his student Benjamin Lee Whorf, a businessman and amateur linguist. They based their claims off of the theories on first-hand experiences of culture and language, a technique that was unlike earlier claims. The theory gained an audience through Whorf's relativistic manifesto, with claims appearing both extreme and cautious, a technique that captivated many people. Bangor University tested the linguist relativity theory by putting together a research team that created many experiments on the subject, one of which tested whether people of different languages processed shapes differently in relation to the words used to name them. In this case, cups and mugs. The Spanish word taza applies to both cups and mugs, whereas English separates them. A group of Spanish and English speakers were presented with pictures of a cup, mug, and bowl, while their electrical activity in the brain was being analyzed. They found that the difference between the cup and mug caused greater electrical activity in the brain of English speakers than it did in Spanish speakers. This concept of linguistic relativity is very relevant at UNK. Here we have many international students from all over the world, and each person has cultural differences influenced by their language. For example, in Korea, students tend to express themselves in general and indirect ways as to not offend others. This is also true in how they talk about money or material things. They often use words like some or any rather than saying any specific numbers. This is because it is considered bad manners to share information of monetary value with others. It is the complete opposite in America. For the most part, we are very forward in saying what we own, whether it be a lot or a little, because here it is more common to show your success through material goods and monetary value. In fact, it seems rather odd not to disclose what you have with other people. Another example in Korean culture is their group-oriented thinking. The family and society rank above the individual. Unlike English, Koreans put their family names first. For example, I would write Rebecca Peterson, putting my name first. Whereas in Korea, they would write Peterson Rebecca, Peterson being the family name and Rebecca being the person's individual name. They also use our instead of my. For example, in English, we would say my house, whereas in Korean, they would say 우리 집, which literally translates to our house. within language and culture is a sense of hierarchy, and many different languages have ways of initially distinguishing those tiers within the first few moments of meeting someone. It is very common in American culture to introduce yourself by saying your name and your career, or in this case, major. This is because America is a very consumer-based society, and how much you are able to consume or how much power you hold plays a large role in how Americans talk to each other. Though this idea is prevalent in other cultures, there are other deciding factors of introductions that take priority. For example, in Asian culture, it is common practice to ask someone's age when you first meet them. This is because their hierarchy is built into their language. In Korean, there is formal language, 존댓말, and informal language, 반말. Therefore, when they introduce themselves with name and age, they know how to talk to each other. Otherwise, it is a bit uncomfortable. You might be thinking, well, okay, Rebecca, that's cool and all, but how is this all relevant to our society? It's incredibly relevant. Here in America, we have people from all over the world, and with them come different cultures. And because English is becoming a growing subject in other countries, it is important for us to understand that people come from different backgrounds and may not understand all the connotations behind English language or the cultural intuition behind what we say. We also need to become more educated in other cultures and not just expect them to know ours. There are many instances where we can misunderstand other cultures. In some languages, like French or Japanese, they have language for women that is separate from language for men. To them, this seems normal, but to other people that come from language where the noun is universal, this concept reads as sexist. It's differences like these that lead to conflict among people. And the thing is, these issues are so easy to fix. People just need to open their minds to different cultures and understand and work through them. Thank you.